I knew going into my iPhone 17 reviews this year that I wanted to upgrade my older regular 16 to a 17 Pro or maybe a Pro Max. Frankly, because this is one of my studio cameras that I use in my Sailor Moon YouTube channel room. I had a feeling the 17 and the Air couldn't quite cut it for my content creator needs, but I did give both of them fair, well-rounded reviews of all the pros and cons. I highly recommend you go watch those video reviews if you're interested in either of them. But today, I am focusing on the iPhone 17 Pro. Is it actually a Pro iPhone, or can you live without the upgrades and stick to the regular 17, or should you just get an iPhone Air instead? What's up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome back to my channel where we dive into tech that is smart, secure, and stylish. Each iPhone I'm reviewing this year was purchased by me. These are not sponsored reviews. I'm just gonna tell you like it is and let you know if this thing is worth your money. So here's the iPhone 17 Pro. This is $1,099 starting for 256 gigs, and it increases up to $1,499 for 1 terabyte. Right out of the box, you got 3 different colorways. You got the silver one, which is what I have here, cosmic orange, and deep blue. That is a true construction zone orange if you haven't seen this thing in real life, and I just can't. It totally clashes with my aesthetic, so I went with silver. The build on here is this aluminum unibody with ceramic shield 2 on the front, as well as on the back. So that means this thing can handle a few drops, and I did drop it on some rocky pathways during my testing, and it survived just fine. Size-wise, it is 150 millimeters tall, 71.9 millimeters wide, and 8.75 millimeters thick. So it is kind of a thick boy. Or if you live here in the US, that's 5.1 inches by 2.83 inches by 0.34 inches. There you go. At 206 grams or 7.27 ounces, it's got a little bit of heft to it compared to the base iPhone 17, but honestly, it feels pretty premium in hand. Now, a lot of folks have pointed out that if you clean the orange one with specific cleaning agents or you leave it in the sun, the color changes to a more pinkish colorway. That is not on purpose. It's not a problem with the silver one, and I also did not experience any issues with scratches. In fact, I have had this thing since release day, and you can see how many scratches are on here. Pretty much non-existent. There's almost no scratches to be seen. My silver one still looks brand new after a couple of months of using it, so if you do plan to go caseless, I would recommend grabbing the silver one since it seems to have more resistance to those kind of issues. Frankly, I would say the design of the Pro models is not very pretty, and with the issues I mentioned, it feels like it was kind of rushed. Unlike the regular 17 and the Air, it looks like aesthetics were completely disregarded in this design. And while you do need cutouts in the aluminum unibody to deal with things like wireless signals, which is understandable, it does feel like this design was rushed in order to complete manufacturing and just put a device out on time. Now, this is not a deal breaker. I have hacked together plenty of tech in my time with Arduinos and breadboards. I have a breadboarded LED hacked together like Pop-Tart cat thing that I built, and it's in a frame because I think it's beautiful, but it's got wires and crap everywhere. It's not the most gorgeous thing in the world, but I'm proud of it. So I will say that not all tech is supposed to be beautiful. Sometimes it's just built to work, but when it comes to smartphones, generally, these are gorgeous products, and I just did not feel that with this one. If you use a case, you're not gonna care, and the design does fix issues with heat, wireless signals, and wireless charging. The camera bump on the top, while extended across, it still does make the phone wobble a little when it's on a flat surface, but again, putting it in a case will solve that problem too. Now, I usually use cases from a company called Velvet Caviar. I have this cherry blossom case, which hides the jarring design, and it also levels out the wobble with a protective ridgeline around the cameras. And it does work with wireless charging because it's got this little magnet on the back of it, which is a plus. And yes, this is IP68 rated, so you can dunk it in up to 6 meters of water for 30 minutes, and it is rated to survive. Now, I am so excited, y'all. I'm currently doing this 30-day security challenge series over on my channel, helping you secure your data data with one pro tip at a time, while not having to give up all of your tech and go live in a forest. I just hit 140,000 subscribers on my channel. I'm so thrilled about that. Whenever you're doing traditional educational, like long format type of videos, not viral shorts every single day, every single person who subscribes really matters, because I know that you're here for the right reasons. You want to learn, you want to get really transparent reviews, so thank you. And if you think my content is valuable, please do subscribe. I also want to say a big Patreon shout out to Perfect Face for Radio, Ed, Alex, and Mac. You can join them and support my channel by going over to patreon.com/Shannon Morse for perks like early video access and my private Discord. As usual, all the videos on my channel are free to watch, and I thank my YouTube members and my patrons for making that possible. Now, Apple is still rocking a 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR OLED with Pro Motion 120Hz, HDR, and a dynamic island up the top. Peak brightness outdoors is gonna hit 3000 nits, so even in direct sunlight, you're not gonna be squinting. The always-on display is really great, and it doesn't totally kill your battery whenever you use it. I also really appreciate that anti-reflective coating. As someone who films B-roll like constantly, I need devices to stack up against studio lighting, like the lights that you can currently see in this somewhat reflection. This thing picks up way fewer fingerprints, and it's easy to see in reflective environments. Now, I will say it is more subtle than on my Samsung S25 Ultra, which also sports an anti-reflective screen, so it really is not a major difference versus older iPhone models. I also had a side note that I wanted to mention here. A few folks in my life asked me what the differences are between this one and the Pro Max. It's the size, and that's pretty much it. The Pro Max has a 2TB model. The battery life is going to be longer on the Pro Max too, but that's about it. My favorite part of reviews is the cameras though. I love testing new sensors. On screen are the specs, so you can check those out, but let's chat about my tests. So we are looking at a 48 megapixel Pro Fusion system with 4 lenses. You got your main 48 megapixel, that's gonna enable a 12 megapixel optical quality 2x telephoto with the same focal length and aperture. There's also an ultra wide 48 megapixel. There's a telephoto 4x 48 megapixel, and there's also telephoto optical quality 8x with that 48 megapixel. Then on the front, we have an 18 megapixel center stage camera. I love that we are getting higher resolutions across the board, which makes printing your photography easier. As someone who uses a professional Sony camera for hobbyist photography, I put optical quality in quotes because it seems more like marketing terminology. To be fair, the results are really excellent and the details look amazing in some of my close-up photography, even pictures in low light. You can access the Pro RAW settings on the Pro models, and this gives you more options for image processing. Now, a user buying this phone to take photos on vacation with their kids and as a hobbyist is going to notice the excellent color depth, the beautiful bokeh or the aperture, the balanced exposure, and the image quality even in low light, like less grain and less noise. The digital zoom goes up to 40 times, while you can get optical quality, I say that in quotes again, at 16 times zoom. For video, you've got 4K Dolby Vision up to 120 FPS. There's ProRes RAW, Apple Log 2, and even spatial video if you're living in the Apple Vision Pro land. They also included a 4-mic array, which is awesome if you are recording content for content creation. Look at that. Look at that. Oh god. Jeez. Now, I love recording video on this thing. Like, slow-mo vids look super clean, regular videos are stabilized, the audio is clear. I mean, I use this thing in my Sailor Moon studio as a B-roll camera for all of my product shots because it's constantly good. Dual capture is one feature that I've been enjoying in normal, like, day-to-day life. It captures video on both front and back cameras at the same time at 4K 30p, which is really cool. Front-facing, we got that 18 megapixel center stage camera. I would say it's sharper for selfies and FaceTime calls, and the camera's machine learning will recognize faces and set your camera to the correct mode, landscape or vertical, most of the time. It doesn't work perfectly, but it does work well enough that you don't have to tilt your phone to take a group selfie every single time. I still do this though, because of muscle memory and out of habit. I keep on doing it. Even though center stage is a new thing and I should be using it, muscle memory is telling me, flip your phone to get that wide angle shot, that selfie with all your friends. I don't know. I still do it, sorry. Portraits do look better on here than I'm used to on my Android phones, but I still think that harsh cutout is not as clean looking as a photo in regular mode with a normal aperture. Can I just add that every friend group needs to have that one guy who is totally fine with adding some like chaotic energy? I swear, every single time I review a phone around my friend group, somebody, and it's usually this guy, Jay, has gotta be weird. And you know what? I love it. I just love your energy. You're a wonderful person to have around, Jay. You're a great guy. Now this is where Apple flexes. The A19 Pro chip brings a 6-core CPU, a 6-core GPU with ray tracing, and a 16-core neural engine. Basically, Apple Intelligence, their AI system, runs everything from smarter text suggestions to photo edits. So if you want a video about privacy and security suggestions and settings that you need to turn off, let me know. I'd be happy to produce a video about that and walk you through all the different things that you need to turn on and off on this phone. I did notice the phone's thermal management is really great. It does not overheat. This probably has to do with Apple going back to aluminum instead of titanium, so it's more effective at cooling, but they also added in a vapor chamber cooling to keep that Pro chip running super cool. Say cool 10 times. Take a shot every time I say cool. Just kidding, don't do that. This is a trend I've seen in a lot of phones this year, so Apple is not the first one to do this. Several have added vapor chamber cooling, so I can play like Genshin Impact or games that have hardware accelerated ray tracing, and it's smooth as butter, baby. So I do have some 3D Mark test scores to show you on camera, which you can compare to the 17 and the Air that I previously reviewed a few weeks ago. The Pro scores significantly are better than the Air, even though they both run the same chipset. Battery life on here is pretty stellar too, up to 33 hours of video playback. I got through a full day of heavy use without any kind of anxiety. I started a battery drain test at 11:15 a.m. I got down to 6% the next morning at 8:30 a.m., so easily about 21 hours. As usual, Apple does not tell us what the milliampere hour battery size is of their batteries, but I can say that I get around 20 hours of screen on time before it dies by streaming a ton of 4K 60p videos at full brightness. You will get less, around like 15 hours or so, if you're using it for things like gaming and GPS, videography and photography. But for a normal day scenario, you can easily get a full day out of it before it gets to the point of needing a charge. Your mileage may vary depending on whether you have a version with a SIM slot. My US version, you will notice, it does not have any kind of SIM slot. It just has eSIM now, which is very unfortunate. Radio signal and strength can make a change too, so your mileage will vary. Charging will get you about 50% in 20 minutes with a 40-watt USB-C brick. Wireless MagSafe and Qi 2 charging top out at 25 watt. Now speaking of USB-C, because we do have USB-C down here, the Pro models do sport that 10 gigabit per second transfer speed over wired. So if you're backing up a ton of video for content creation and you want to do that over USB-C, it is super quick on here. Apple is pushing Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, NFC, dual eSIMs, no SIM slot in the US, and the 2nd gen UWB chip for precise location. The action button is back. That one is going to be over here. And I think it's actually a nice little productivity touch. Like, it's out of the way, so you're not going to accidentally hit it. You can quickly control the focus mode, camera, you can take a voice memo, you can choose custom controls, just to name a few. The camera control, which is found over here, that is still present too, and this one also works like it did on last year's models. Now let's also not forget Apple's safety features like crash detection, emergency SOS, satellite messaging, all of those are also included. Am I completely ignoring AI? Mostly. There are some updates like for Siri with on-screen awareness, writing tools for summarizing and proofreading, and image generation capabilities, live translation in phone and messaging apps, enhanced focus modes like reduce interruptions, and there's also personalized motivational messages with Workout Buddy. which I'm never gonna use. The new A19 chip powers these features with on-device processing. Now, I'm gonna be the weirdo that says that I like iOS 26 and its fancy new liquid glass design. It's not for everyone. Some people hate it, and it has had its bugs, but there's been a firmware update since the 17 line was released, which has helped. So now with iOS 26.1, which just came out before I started recording all the B-roll for this video, yes, you can toggle a tinted option for liquid glass, which does increase the opacity. I still think it looks like a Winamp skin, and Windows Vista had a baby. And yes, I know Apple's done this kind of design on a Mac too, but I'm a Microsoft 90s child. Like, Windows was literally born the same year as me. I know, it's my birthday, so that's the memory I'm working with. So should you buy an iPhone 17 Pro? Well, if you're into photography, videography, or you just want some great zoom lenses, this phone is really wonderful for that. If you want a battery and thermal upgrade, again, this phone is wonderful, but it's still a pricey device. And I think for a lot of people, I personally think that the base iPhone 17 is probably gonna be enough. You can save a few $100, still get a quality phone with the regular 17 model. So really, do you need the spec bump for the cameras or no? That's really what it comes down to. I would love to know what you think as well, so if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment area below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.